What is up, guys? Patrick from NintenTalk here, back with another Patreon discussion video, and this is from my good friend Aaron. I'm not going to go word for word how he put this question, but yeah, essentially he wanted to talk about the influx of Nintendo Switch content creators and kind of the decline of the retro channels. Something that I've personally noticed, so I'm glad that he brought it up so I can talk about it today. Just before I start talking, your boy just finished like a 55-hour work week. I've been working like crazy, man. So if I'm kind of rambly, that's why. But you know what? We're here now. We're making videos. But yes, I want to talk about the decline of retro game channels. And you know, when I first noticed this, it was more so not the decline of retro channels, but retro channels switching over to more modern. You know, with the Wii U and even the Wii, Nintendo wasn't exactly the hottest topic to talk about. And of course now with this guy, the Nintendo Switch, there's a lot of hype. There's a lot of people getting back into Nintendo. So it's sort of like the cool thing to talk about now. But I noticed it, like I was saying before, I noticed it more so with retro channels making the switch over. And it's kind of sad to see, really. You know, I've been a fan of YouTube for quite some time, and you know, for me, I love watching these retro channels because they kind of educate me and they teach me about some of the older games that I didn't grow up with. I mean, I'm still relatively young, only 25 years old, so I really didn't get to experience consoles like the NES and SNES. So, you know, some of these retro channels kind of opened my eyes to learning more about these games that were so great, or apparently so great. You know, the Link to the Past. You know, this was a game that I didn't really grow up with. At least I didn't really play it. So I think retro games are not retro, well, retro games, but retro channels are really important to kind of preserve, because you know, that's how a lot of the younger generation is going to even learn about these games. So the other gripe that I have, and you know what, I'm not going to name any names. I'm not really a rumor mill here. I'm not set to stir up some conversation. I just don't have time for that. But there's a lot of channels that, you know, we're talking about retro games, whether it be the Dreamcast, whether it be, you know, the NES, SNES, and the growth isn't that big on that, because retro games, even still, are kind of a niche market. Not everyone likes retro games. There are a lot of modern gamers and a lot of people that have the argument of, you know, well, we have all this great technology. Why go back? Why play the old games? But like I said before, I think it's important to see the roots of gaming. So it is a niche market. So if you're doing a retro channel, if you're doing, you know, obscure systems like the Game Boy and even the Wii is becoming a retro channel. If you have a channel all about the GameCube or even the Wii U, it's probably not going to grow as fast as something that's in the news now. It's, you know, it's in everyone's conversation. The Switch is among the hottest consoles out there, if not the hottest console. So if you're making content that's Switch related, of course you're going to see that immediate growth. So I think that's where it came from. You know, people that are talking about Sega and, you know, talking about N64 didn't really see that growth, and I think a lot of them decided, hey, let's make a video about the Switch. And if you're pouring, you know, so much effort and time into some of these retro videos, and you're getting, you know, a couple hundred views, and all of a sudden you put out a Switch video and it gets a couple thousand views, of course you might switch your mindset. So yeah, I've seen a lot of that. I've seen a lot of YouTubers, you know, completely abandon, you know, their retro roots, you could say. And it's quite funny too. It's quite funny seeing people talk about the Switch and only the Switch, and then in the background, they have just a complete NES collection, and just like, what are you doing, man? Like, that's way more interesting, I think, than a modern console. But you know what? People do YouTube for different reasons. I'm not here to judge. Like, I really don't care what any YouTube content creator makes. You know, whatever makes you happy, that's what you should do. But I'm more so kind of concerned of, you know, where all this retro knowledge will go. I think YouTube is a really great place and has really great retro communities. If you have a retro channel, put it in the comment section below. Or if you know a good retro channel, put it in the comment section below. I'm always, intrigued watching some of these older games because I don't really know a lot of these games. So it's kind of more of an educational tool for me. So I think it's also cool because there's a big indie movement. And a lot of these games that are being made now, these new retro games, take inspiration from a lot of these retro games. So it's kind of cool, seeing a game like, Ghosts and Goblins or Contra, being made new again into some of these newer indie games. So I like that kind of dynamic too. People on YouTube will make videos for different reasons, like I said before. So it's not really a surprise that some people are abandoning the whole retro topic. But it's just interesting to me. And I think, Aaron brings up a good point that, Nintendo seems to be like the cool thing to talk about. And for me, it's kind of at a point where it's almost, carbon copies of creators. There's, it seems like every month there's, what Switch games to buy in March, and there's 40 videos on that. And it's like, there's no value to that. I'm not going to sit down and watch 8 different videos talking about the same thing and literally having the same amount of games. So I don't know, man, it's just getting stale, and I would be a fool not to mention that this channel, grew a lot because of the Switch and talking about the Switch. But I'm more focused on Nintendo. So whatever console is in the now, I'm going to be talking about, and any news that comes from Nintendo, I'm going to be talking about. But it's just weird to see all these retro channels. Even some channels have a console in their channel name, but they're no longer talking about it. I just found it really weird. So thank you so much, Aaron, for the question. What do you guys think? Do you think the retro movement is dying? What do you think about all of these Switch creators? Because I'm your favorite one anyway. So thank you very much, guys. And I will see you in the next video. Patreon link will be in the description below. And have a good one. Peace.